start over here. Let me go back to 1-1. All right. Okay, class, I made a little error earlier. I didn't start recording. So I'm going back here to start recording for those of you that cannot be with us today. Okay, so going back, we needed to finish up the Did You Get It on page 11. And on page 11, it says, try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. Number 5, in an effort to show solidarity with his workers, a CEO offers to take a $300,000 per year pay cut. Last year, his salary was $11 million. Find a percent decrease in pay. Okay, I already did this problem. I marked it as page 11, just in case you don't have your course pack. And we did percent decrease, which I did abbreviate. And the formula is the new value minus the old value divided by the old value. So he's taking a $300,000 a year pay cut. So we would take the 11 million minus 300,000, which gave us 10,700,000. Okay, so now what we would have is our new value is 10,700,000 minus the 11 million, which is the old value, divided by 11 million. Now, when we put this in our calculator, it would end up being, well, after we subtract, it would end up being a negative 300,000 divided by 11 million. And we will round this to 3 decimal places. I think I may still have this on my decimals calculator. Let me go back up here. No, I did not. All right, so let me put this on the decimals calculator. So we will have negative 300,000 divided by 11 million. And we rounded this value here to 3 decimal places. So it'll be a negative 0.027, which we have here. And then we would change that to a percent. And we know to change that to a percent, we would just multiply this value here by 100. Then add a percent sign at the end. Now remember, well, let me go back here. Remember, we did round to 3 decimal places, so it'll be a negative 0.027, and then we would multiply it by 100. And then that would give us a negative 2.7, and we would add the percent sign at the end. Now, whenever you deal with percent decrease, your answer is going to be a negative. But when you write your final answer, because it's saying percent decrease, it's assumed that whatever number you write is a negative. So with that being the case, your final answer is going to be a positive 2.7%. And typically it's written like this: percent decrease is 2.7%. So your final answer will be positive because percent decrease assumes that it's a negative. All right, so now just to go back to this portfolio page, just so that you all can see it on page 13, the answers to the Did You Get It is on this portfolio page. And as you see, number 5 here is 2.7%. Okay, now one other thing that I would like to say that I did say earlier was this here. Sometimes when we're dealing with percent increase or decrease, sometimes we're given a value that will make the problem a lot easier to do. Like for instance, it tells us that he's going to take, that the CEO is going to take a $300,000 per year pay cut. Now we know a pay cut is always a negative to us. So we could have taken this 300,000 and made it negative and just put it here. And we would have skipped this step entirely. And we're only able to do that because it told us the final value of the cut. So that's something that happens very rare, but still it happens. And that's something that you all could notate as well. But if you don't remember that, you could always use the trusty formula. So now we go on to section 1.2. Now section 1.2, the first did you get it problem was on page 20. Now it says, did you get it? Try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. It tells us to find 20%, 75%, and 41.3% of 360 degrees. Now, first of all, we need to change the, well, first of all, if we go back up here to problem number 8, this did you get it is related to problem number 8. When we were talking about pie charts, and we know that a circle's degrees is 360 degrees. So what we're dealing with here, we don't see the pie chart, but we're dealing with the circle with the 360 degrees. And what we did for problem number 8 during Ms. Main's class in Math 130, we would do with problem number 1 here. So the first thing we would have to do is change these percentages to decimals. I did show this on the calculator, but what you could do with the, I don't think I got rid of it. Actually, I did. Okay, so basically to get 20% here as a decimal, you could take, I'll do that with this, you could take 20 over 100, and then that would give you the 0.2 or 0.20 that I have written here, and you will multiply that by 360. Then the 0.75, I got that by taking 75 divided by 100. That gave you 0.75 times the 360. And then the 41.3%, it'd be 41.3 divided by 100. And that would give you the 0.413. Because remember, percent means divided by 100. And that is why when we divide it by 100, we're able to get our decimal. Now, you could do it another way by moving your decimal 2 places to the left. Like when you saw these percentages, you could have put a decimal at the end and moved it 2 places to the left, and it would have gave you the same values. Now, we're supposed to take these percentages that we changed to decimals, multiply them by 360, and it will give you your degrees. This is 72 degrees, 270 degrees, and this is 148.68 degrees. And that's all calculated in your calculator. Now, the next problem here that I didn't cover on video, and then after this we will do everything live, is on page 22, which is the did you get it problem. It says try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. In 2015, there were 54 Republican senators, 44 Democratic senators, and 2 who were independents. Find a percentage for each category, then the number of degrees that each category would cover in a pie chart. Okay, first of all, I abbreviated, well, first of all, I added up how many senators there were. Because in order for us to get the percentage for each category, we're going to have to divide these numbers by their total amount. So we would have 54, 44, and 2, that would give us 100 senators. Now, just as a FYI, every state in the United States gets 2 senators. So that's how come we come up with 100 senators. Now, for the Republican, we have the Republican is equal to 54 divided by 100, and I abbreviated Republican, Democrat, and Independent. So 54 divided by 100 is 54%. 44 divided by 100 is 44%, and 2 divided by 100 is 2%. Because we know percent means divided by 100, so you can easily convert these fractions to percents. Now the second portion, it says then the number of degrees that each category will cover in a pie chart. Now remember, with a pie chart is a circle, so we know the maximum degrees of a pie chart is 360 degrees. So we would take these percentages, 54, 44, and 2%, and multiply by the 360 degrees. So we'll change those percents to decimals. So this would be 0.54 times 360, which gave 194.4 degrees. 0.44 times 360 is 158.4 degrees. And 0.02 times 360 degrees gives us 7.2 degrees. Now that covers everything that I did not cover before. So now we're going to move on to the next did you get it assignment? And that will be on page 24. Okay, now on page 24, it says, try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. Number 3, it says, refer to the pie chart on the previous page. What percentage of students work at least part-time? Now listen, we have to get an understanding of what part-time is. Part-time is anything less than 40 hours in a week. Now, of course, if you work no hours, that doesn't count. But basically, any hours above 0, but less than 40 hours is considered part-time. So we go back up here, because they asked us what percent. We go back up here to page 23, and we have this pie chart here. So if you look here, all of these, okay, now this, okay, students, I had to stop the recording for a second to check one thing about this pie chart. Okay, now, remember how I told you that full-time employment is 40 hours or more. Now, this pie chart assumes that if you're a college student, that when it says 35 or more hours, I'm assuming that they meant to put 35 through 39 hours. Because if not, we would not be able to count this portion of the circle because it would include full-time people, and we wouldn't know the percentage that is full-time people. But it is counted here, so we're assuming that everyone here is still under 40 hours. So we would add these up for the percentages. We add 19%, 21%, and 35%. So that would give us a total of 75%. That's the percentage of students that work under 40 hours a week or under full time. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I made a mistake. That 75% is correct. Don't change that. But there was a key word here that I left out. It said at least part-time. So it could be part-time or more. So that can include the full-time. So when I had said about that piece of the circle that was 35 or more hours, that is included according to the at least part, because it could be that or higher. So that was a mistake on my part. All right, so that's A. So now we go here to B. It says if one campus has 4,705 students, how many would you expect to work more than 20 hours? Okay, so let's go to this pie chart. So it says more than 20 hours. So it's these two pieces of the pie chart here, which is the 21% and the 19%. So here we would have 40%. Now we would be done if they asked us what was the percent, but they asked us how many. So we're going to have to take this 40% and multiply it by 4,705. So we would change the 40% to a decimal, which would be 0.40 times 4,705. So we will put that in our calculator. So we had 0.40 times 4,705. So that would give us 1,882. And that is the final answer. Now, if we go here to the portfolio page, which just says that it has the answers, we could go down here, and this is on page 25, and it has all of the answers that we have. So that's a good way to check what you're doing. Now, we move on to section 1.3. This will actually be the last section that we're covering today. And we are going to go into our quizzes next. So we're going to go to the Did You Get It portion. If you go to page 33, that would be our first problem. It says, did you get it? Try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. Number 1, the bar graph below is based on responses to a survey of 1,000 adults conducted by Crucial.com. It says, what is the thing that the most people would be willing to do rather than give up their cell phone or laptop for a month? Okay, so we have here, this is what this graph is about. Top things people would rather do than give up their phone or laptop for a month. And then most people would rather give up going to go out to dinner with an ex. Okay, B, about how many of those 1,000 would rather get a migraine or the flu than give up their phone or laptop? Okay, so first of all, we look here, suffer a migraine or the flu. We notice it's a little bit over 10, which is percent. So this is more like about, it looks more like 11% because it is a nice little distance from being halfway through. So I would take 11 or 12%. So let's just do 11%, which is 0.11, because they asked us how many. They did not ask us what percent. So we would take 0.11 times the 1,000 adults, because that's what was surveyed. And 0.11 times 1,000 is actually 110. Okay, now we come to C. Why did the last question begin with about? And that is because this is an approximation. That's why I began with about, because we have no way of knowing exactly what the percent is based upon this bar graph. Now I didn't hit, now if it would have hit 10 exactly, then we could have gotten an exact measure here, but because we have to guesstimate here, we know that it's an approximation. All right. Now we go to page 34. It says, try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. It says, draw a bar graph illustrating the data in the table. These are responses to a survey done by State Farm Insurance on how many months people would be able to survive financially using only money that they have currently saved. Now, this is very prevalent in today's society, especially with this coronavirus going on. So this is a very good exercise. So we need to draw us a bar graph. Now we could do the bar graph various ways. We could do the bar graph going vertically or horizontally. So I think what I would want to do is go vertically, because that's mainly how we see bar graphs. So we need to title this bar graph as well. So it says here, how many months people would be able to survive financially using only money they currently save. So we can either abbreviate that or write it all out. Is how many months people can survive on their own savings. I guess I should say on current savings. Yeah, I abbreviated it a little bit, but it's basically the same as what they were asking for. Okay, so let's take a look here. First of all, we know that we're going to be dealing with these percentages here. So with these percentages, let's see, do we have a regular? Yes, we do. If you notice here on this bar graph here, we have the name of the values and then also the, how can I say, the amount the values are. So these are the names of the values on the x-axis or the horizontal axis. Then the vertical axis is the amount that each of these are. So we would take that concept here. So the amount here, first of all, we would have the names. We could have less than 1. And then we could have 1, 2 to 6, 7 to 12, more than 1 year. And then we can abbreviate this. We could do DK for don't know / refused to answer. All right. So that takes care of the names. And we know that it tells us how many months. So we know that this is months. Now here down the side, we have percentages here. We go anywhere from 11 to 32%. Now, if we go by these bars here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I have 7 bars here, and I want to go from at least 11% to 32%. So let me see, 11 bars. I would probably do about 3%. So I would make this 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, you know, I'm sorry, I did 7. I should have actually did 5%, not 3. So it'll be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and we can go up to 40 here. And we know this side here is percent. All right, so now, when we get here, we have less than 1. Okay, less than 1 is 18%. So we know that would take us about in between the 15 and 20. So that would be less than 1. Okay, so then 1 is 13. So we know that'll be in between 10 and 15. And then 2 to 6 would be 32. So that would take us almost in the middle of 30 and 35. 7 to 12 would be 12%, which is a little bit above 10. We're almost halfway between 10 and 15. Then more than a year is 11, so it'll be slightly above 10. And then don't know, refuse to take it would be about the halfway mark. So it'll be about the same as the 1. And there we have our bar chart, our bar graph. I actually should have wrote number 2 here because that's what it was. All right. Now I think, let me see, is that the last one? Yes. Okay. Now, on page 36, this is the last did you get it problem. It says, try this problem to see if you understand the concepts we just studied. The answer can be found at the bottom of the portfolio page. Did Ford make or lose money for the overall period from 2007 to 2011? How much did they make or lose? Okay, let's go here. This is what they were asking. Did they make or lose money? Okay, so let's take a look here. So if we look at the losses was -3 and also -15. So we'll add those together. So I had a total loss of a -18 billion from 2007 to 2011. Now, as far as profits go, we had 3, 7, and 20. So they made 30 billion in that time frame as well. So they lost 18 billion, but they made 30 billion between 2007 and 2011. So let's look again at that question. It says, did Ford make or lose money for the overall period for 2007 to 2011? They actually made money. And then they said, how much did they make or lose? Okay, so we would take the 30, which is how much they profited, minus the 18, which is their losses. So they actually made 12 billion. They made $12 billion. All right. And like we customarily do, we will go down here to the portfolio page. We could check our answers. Did you get it? Okay. Now they did not put a title, or they did not denote the legends here on the bar chart, but it's basically the same as what we did here. Okay, and then we have here they made 12 billion, and then number 1, go out to dinner with an X, and then they had 120, but 110 would work too because they use 12%, but we use 11%, which is basically the same estimation. And then C, because you can't tell the exact value from the length of the bars, which is the approximation that we have for the answer for 1C. All right, were there any questions on any of the did you get it or any of the previous assignments Ms. Main gave you all? Okay, now I do have a question for you all. I know yesterday, okay, class, we're about to get started with the quizzes. Now remember, in order to access your quizzes, you must go to Connect Math, and the quizzes are directly under the lesson that you're covering. Like for instance, we covered 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3 this week. Ms. May actually covered that with you all. So the quizzes are directly under the 1-1 prep, 1-2 prep, and the 1-3 prep. And as you all see, the quizzes are due tomorrow night by, actually it was supposed to be about 8 p.m., but I'll let them go to 11:59 p.m. but typically it's going to be by 8 p.m., but this time I'll let it go to 11:59 p.m. So this is what I'm going to do. Originally, I wanted to do group type quizzes, but I'm having a little, how could I say, it's a little technical issue that I'm going to try and fix over the weekend to see whether or not I can have you all do group quizzes together. If not, I may have to change a couple things in the course because of it. Also, what I'm going to do today is give you all guided assistance with the quiz. Now, listen, all of you have online quiz, and you do have unlimited attempts with this quiz. But with this quiz, your problems will be slightly different as far as the numbers are concerned. So what I want all of you all to do is take quiz 1. And then when all of you are finished, because I want you all to take a quick look. Let me go here to preview assignment. You all to take a quick look. Or if it comes up. Okay, here we go. If you look here at quiz 1 has 5 questions. Now remember, you get unlimited attempts until the deadline. So you would do your 1 question. Let's just say, I'm just going to type in any numbers here. Okay, once you type in your numbers, then you have to go to the next number until you get to the end, and then you'll submit it all at one time, and then it will give you your grade. But let me do that. Let me see if mine will look the same as you all. Let me see. Now remember, I'm just picking numbers at random. Let me see. And then some of these have a little drop down box. I just put that. Then finally this here. All right, it doesn't look like mine have, but it should be a submit button for you all that you will have to do at the end of the quiz. So what I want you all to do now is to do quiz 1-1. I'm gonna give you all about I'll give you all 15 minutes to do quiz 1-1 and then submit it. And then we could, then I will take a look at your grades and see what problems that you all may have a question with, and I will go over that with you. So please take this time and do quiz 1-1.